Slow down, lay your burden down.
Hey, welcome to episode 4 of Divergent Paths with Dan Dunford. As you probably will know, I am Dan Dunford. Thanks for listening. So, happy mid-September, almost fall. How about that? A lot of great stuff coming up. First, a few dates for me. I just realized, oh man, I should probably say something about the music that I'm playing instead of only always talking to people about what they're doing. So this week, I'm doing 2, possibly 3 more filming days for Mozart in the Jungle. So down by Joe's Pub tomorrow, Central Park on Tuesday, possibly up at SUNY Purchase again on Thursday. Those are, I guess those aren't really performances that people can come see, but if you're in the neighborhood, you can walk by and see me looking uncomfortable wearing a tuxedo outside. So that's fun. But actual performances I'm doing this week. Tuesday, September 15th, playing with Orchestra Holistic at Brooklyn Bowl. It's concerts at 8:30. Tickets are $7, but if you get there before 7, it's free. Orchestra Holistic, they're a hip-hop group that I play with. Really fantastic, cool guys, cool ensemble. Just overall a really great experience. I just did a recording session with them this past Thursday for Converse Rubber Tracks, and that was just a lot of fun. And also this weekend, Friday and Saturday, I'll be playing with the Chelsea Symphony. We're doing Brahms 1, and concert on Friday night is at 8:30. Concert on Saturday night is at 7:30, and that'll be at the German Episcopal Church on West 22nd Street. And cool thing. Some people from the Chelsea Symphony will be up on the podcast coming up soon, including the president and one of the co-music directors. So that'll be a good time. Another, excuse me, I think I might be sick. Awesome. Another cool thing that will be happening with the podcast in the upcoming weeks and months is a partnership with my friend David Whitwell. He was the first guest on this podcast, and we'll be doing a partnership with in his episode he mentioned a series of brass concerts that he's curating at Spectrum on the Lower East Side here in the city, and we'll be collaborating on that. In that, I will be interviewing the people who are giving the concerts and doing some live stuff for some midweek releases, midweek episodes and the like. So that's really exciting. The first guy doing the first concert is one by Jay Rosen, who's a fantastic tuba player and has been around for a long time, done incredible things. So really looking forward to that. So be on the lookout for my partnership with the Radical Brass and Spectrum. So that's fun. So this week's interview is with Singer Sara McDonald. She is a fantastic jazz singer that I didn't know. Turns out I actually lived next door to her boyfriend for a year, back 5 or 6 years ago, which was weird. But I reached out to her a few weeks ago, and she was happy to come on, and we had a really good time. Her sound, the sound that she gets with her band, the NY Chillharmonic, is really something special, and I really love their music, and we had a fun time. She's a very funny person, and a very interesting musician as well. This week we have some of her music on the end of the episode. It's a song called Patterned. It'll be on her new album, which we released in November. We talk about that and about her songwriting process and a number of things. So if you want to see her, she's performing this Thursday, September 17th, down at the Jazz Gallery on 1160 Broadway. She's doing sets at 8 o'clock and 10 o'clock. She is one of a few jazz composers being showcased, so check that out. Yeah, that should be fun. She's an exceptional composer and performer, so go get out and support her. And as always, if you enjoy the podcast, please subscribe on iTunes, leave a review, give me a 5-star rating. The normal podcast routine. So that helps me on the iTunes. And yeah, enjoy the episode. Thanks, guys.
Slow down.
So you're a horn player in addition to being a vocalist.
Yes.
That's how long have you been doing that, and were you ever serious about that as well?
I was. That was what came first.
Mm-hmm.
So my parents are both classical musicians.
What do they do?
My mom, is a classical French horn player,
Mm-hmm.
and my dad was a classical trombone player, but then he became a conductor. So he was the director of the Navy Band. He just retired.
He's the director of the Navy Band.
Yeah, or maybe he was the XO, maybe not the CO, something like that. Yeah. So he just retired, and then my mom did a lot of Chicago chamber brats.
Mm-hmm.
I think she subbed for the Chicago Symphony a couple times, stuff like that. Don't quote me. She probably won't listen to this, so it doesn't matter.
Mom, you should listen to this.
She's like, I don't know how to internet. Where do I go? It's like, click on the icon. Yeah, so anyway, so that happened. So I played, and she was a church organist for 10 years. So she taught me piano. So I was really serious about classical piano for a long time, for 10 years. Then I started playing French horn, played classical French horn for 7 years, and was really serious about that in high school and thought I was going to go do that. So the first year of college, I was at Lawrence University in Wisconsin. But during this time, I did musical theater my whole life, and in 30, 50 productions, something like that. That was a big jump, but whatever. And then I started doing jazz band in high school because it was rebellious. And
yeah, so you grew up in the Midwest mostly?
No, my dad's in the Navy, so I lived everywhere.
Oh, well, I mean, I understand that. Both my parents were in the Navy.
Oh,
And
really? Okay.
I was for a while too. So.
Oh, that's right. I think I saw something. I was like, really? Cool.
So yeah, that's I get the Navy thing.
Totally.
Where did you jump around to?
I was born everywhere. I lived all over the East Coast pretty much, and then we lived in Italy for a while. We lived in Hawaii for a while. And then we were in Illinois because my dad was getting his master's at the University of Illinois. It's the only reason we were in the Midwest.
Okay.
But he's from South Dakota and my mom's from Wisconsin, so they are Midwest people. Yes.
Well, that's Midwest and the South. Those are kind of feeders for the military. So.
Totally. Yeah, it's where do I go from here? From the Dakotas, literally anywhere else. Yeah, so that was the vibe. So I graduated from high school there, but I moved every year of high school. And then after my first year at Lawrence, realized I had sort of just made a mistake, and it was a small liberal arts school in Appleton, Wisconsin.
Well, I know what it is.
Okay.
I know people who've gone there. I just don't remember which people I know that have gone there.
Well, me.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, unhappy
Appleton.
fat people. No, I'm just kidding. Don't. Oh my god.
Come on, man. Well, to be fair, cheese curds are great.
I gained 20 pounds when I lived there. And then as soon as I came to New York, it's just I wasn't eating deep fried cheese curds every day. So it was just a lot easier to live my life.
Oh, you mean I can get fresh vegetables all the time, no matter where I am? That's cool.
Exactly. And also just walking in general is really good for you.
That's how I lost 60 pounds. I just walked and
literally just
ate
walked.
vegetables.
Yep, pretty much.
It worked.
That's how it works. Yeah, so that was the vibe. And now I just have a French horn. So I try to use it as much as I possibly can. Because I can't really justify having this expensive instrument just sitting in my apartment if I'm not playing it.
Well, I mean,
I mean, kind of. I also have like a tuba, but like it's not really mine. Whatever. It's just there.
I mean, let's be honest. There's plenty of people who have expensive things sitting around their house that they never touch. It's
That's
called
true.
art.
Oh, yeah, that's true. I guess something like that.
I mean, and French horn is very artistic looking, right?
It looks complicated. It is complicated. It's hard to play. It makes me feel like an intellectual when I play the French horn. It's like, look at this thing I can do that not a lot of people can do well.
Well, when did you? I mean, we'll get into the vocal lead singer shit, but like, when did you start doing like French horn for other stuff? Like, I mean, if you stopped studying it, so to speak.
Not until recently. Like, there would always be. In college, I just wasn't keeping it up and, like, losing my chops and stuff like that. And so there was, like, at least 2 years where I just didn't play. And I think I just, like, lost, like, a lot of stuff I was able to do. Which is too bad because I was, like, pretty good in high school, you know, like, All-State and stuff like that. And, you know, winning, like, really dorky awards, like Soul and Ensemble Fest.
I won all those dorky awards, too. Yeah,
I won a lot of them. Yeah, I always got, like, best of the day. You know? And it was just, like, you know, it was, like, brass drama. Exactly, yeah. But it was just way too stressful, and I was really enjoying the jazz thing just because it was different, and like nobody in my family was doing that. And I'd always like grown up with classical music and stuff. And then, but then in college at New School, once people kind of found out that I played French horn, then I would get asked to like play people's like composition recitals, which would always just be like nothing but like high C's, like just like crazy, like just huge jumps. And they'd be like, well, can't the French horn like do anything? I'm like, no, like maybe read a book about it. I don't know, just like ridiculous. I'd be like, so I'm not gonna be able to play this, but that's fine. You know?
And they write these insane difficult parts, which sure. If you're talking to someone who's in an orchestra playing every day, yeah, they could probably pull it off.
Yeah, but it'd still be hard.
Also, it would be hard. Also, and they're getting paid very well to do that. And generally, composition majors while they're in school, pizza is not necessarily a great compensation. Sometimes, but for something that takes a lot of time,
yeah, totally,
no money, it's kind of difficult. You know,
I enjoy doing it, but it's also just like lots of like sort of just like ambient, like strange. So it's like even no matter what note I played, it didn't really matter. It fit into the chord. I'm making quotations with my hand, you know. So it was sort of fun. I think I just played like, you know, like 90% of it like wrong, but they're like, that was great, and I'm like, thank you.
Thank you. I'm doing
You're
this
like,
great.
thank you. I know. And I just played loud, and they're like, yeah. And then that's how I approach music. I just like do everything really loud, and so people think it's good.
I mean, that's 100, not 100. Probably 95% of what people think about trombone players.
Yeah.
You know, oh, you're playing loud, so it's great, right? I'm like, not really my thing, but I'll do it.
Yeah. Well, that's how I treat trombone players in my big band. Have them play as loud as humanly possible.
So, growing up with classical musician parents, that doesn't always provide necessarily a growing environment for someone who's interested in jazz. I mean, most classical musicians will say they play jazz.
Yeah, my dad says that all the time.
And you know, there's a difference between playing the notes and actually really doing it well. There's the sound concept difference and all that stuff. So why was it just a rebellion? You know, rebelling a little bit against the. Maybe,
I don't know. Just it was different, and honestly, I think at the time it was easier to be singing, just because it was like always something that I did, and musical theater was cool, and it was just like I always wound up getting good parts, even though I couldn't really like act because I could sing. Like just they just need somebody to like fucking sing.
When did that start?
I've probably been doing that the longest, but it was always just like off and on, depending on like where we lived and what the scene was like. So, but when I was a kid, I think my first show was The Sound of Music, and I was like Gretel, so that gives you some perspective. I was like 7, but I killed it. So
killed it.
Yeah, and then I absolutely just stopped. My senior year of high school was the last time I ever did anything. So, yeah.
Right. So, if you're stuck in the Midwest and like hating life, like why did you go straight from there to the new school, or was kind of a roundabout thing?
I don't really know. I think that was like my freshman year of college was just like me rebelling against being so busy in high school, just because I did everything. Like I was, Like, I think my senior year, I had, like, the lead in, like, 3 musicals, and I was playing French horn, and I was in jazz band, and just, like, running, like, a girls' a cappella choir, and just, like, running myself, just, like, stupid, dorky high school shit that, like, I felt like I really needed to do. And I was, like, band president because I had no friends. And, I think I actually got fired from band president, too, because I was too busy. But whatever. So, so then after that, I wanted to, like, keep doing everything.
Mm-hmm.
So Lawrence kind of just, like, was a way for me to sort of do everything, but, like, half-assed. But then, I was, like, trying to be involved in everything, but then just sucking at school because it is an academically, like, challenging place. And I just didn't give a shit about economics or, whatever, English, even though I do care about English. I just didn't care enough.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was just kind of, like, not going well. And I was just partying all the time. And I think I sort of needed that year. It was like taking a year off, but spending a lot of money to do it. So that happened. And I was just, like, drunk for, like, 365 days in that quarter as well. And then I was talking to my cousin. But he was just talking to me about the new school one day because I was kind of miserable and, like, knew I needed to transfer and didn't really know where I wanted to go. And I was very anti-New York for some reason. I always kind of thought I would end up on the West Coast. I don't know why. Probably just because I never got to live there. So I was like, fuck the East Coast. I'm ready to do something else. And he was like, you should just apply there. So I kind of did. I just, like, bought a plane ticket from Wisconsin and stayed on my friend's floor at NYU and auditioned. And then I got in and I was just like, fuck, I guess I'm going to go. Like, I'm not doing anything here. And so I just, like, came home that summer and I was like, yes, I'm transferring. And then that was it. And then I just moved to New York kind of on a whim.
You have a pretty unique blend of things in your songwriting now. There's some obvious classical influence, with some of the the line musical lines arc. There's obviously jazz influence. You've got the big band sound and a lot of it, but there's also, like, straight ahead, crunchy guitar chord rock type stuff.
Yeah.
So where did that combination of things come from? Or, like, did you have specific things you were listening to and being like, I want some of this and want some of this? Or was it just, that's what made sense?
Just like, fuck it. No, so many things. I think I love rock music. I love indie rock, whatever. Not like grungy metal rock, but, I grew up, like, listening to, like, Aerosmith and Boston and the Doobie Brothers and stuff like that. It's like that. It was like classic rock and classical music. There was really, like, no in between. So a part of me still loves that, and that's probably what I listen to the most now. And I don't really, like, listen to jazz leisurely, whatever, which it's, like, taboo always. But so I was trying to write for a rock band for a while, but I kept adding stuff like strings or horns, and it was just kind of all over the place all the time. And I really wanted that group to succeed, and then it just didn't. And then afterwards, I just wasn't that devastated about it. And then I kind of realized that it just wasn't meant to be. And I just like writing a lot of stuff. Like, when I start to write something, just, like, thousands of other things just happen behind it. So even when I'm writing for 22 people, I have to take a lot out all the time, just because I'm always hearing a bunch of different things. And so I definitely have a tendency to overwrite. But the first time I started writing for big-ish band, it was kind of just, I did this one small project. You can still find it online. That's pretty jazzy, that I recorded in Germany 3 years ago, something like that. No, 2 years ago after I graduated. And that was just because there was an opportunity, and I had friends out there who wanted to do something, and I wanted to do something too. So I did that, and I had a lot of fun writing for that. It's like a very tiny big band.
Right. That's still up on your SoundCloud.
Yep, it's still there. I don't know. No, I'm proud of it. Like, it's I worked hard. It's just, I listened to it, I'm like, ooh. Some of it was just kind of like bullshit. But then after that, I was still trying to keep other projects going, and couldn't write anything for a while because I kind of knew how I wanted to sound. I listened to, like, a lot of Grizzly Bear. I like things that are just, like, really lush and just, like, big and just, I don't know, sound magical. And so after that, I was just like, how can I make a big band sound like that? And I was trying a bunch of different instrumentations and trying to get like Bjorky, and I was like, I'm going to use the tuba and like an oboe, and it's going to be so cool. And then it wasn't. And I was just like, this is not working. And then the first thing I actually wrote was Aubergine, like almost 2 years ago. And it was kind of just like a joke. Like, really? I just sat down and I was just like, whatever, I don't give a shit. Like, I had that opening line and I had just bought that Korg thing, and I was just like fucking around with it. I bought it from a German DJ, and like these were his preset sounds, and I was like, this is so crazy. And I was just, I don't know, just screwing around. And the name actually came from like a jar of pasta sauce. I'm in Germany a lot now. This is what it sounds like. I'm not actually there all the time. And I saw the word aubergine. I was like, that's such a beautiful word. And my boyfriend was like, that just means eggplant. And I was like, nobody has to know. And now I see that word fucking everywhere. It's on like menus everywhere. Yeah, so I just wrote it, and it was kind of like I was just screwing around, but it was like a lot of fun. I mean, there's like 4 chords in that entire song, but just with like other weird shit on top of it.
And it sticks in your head. Exactly. Like, I listened to it once, and then I listened to it several more times, and then I was like thinking about it the next day. You know, it's like it's
almost annoying. It's that opening line. Kind of. It's pretty ridiculous.
Like I hated it. I listened to it all these times, and I was just like, man, this song sucks so much, but I can't stop listening to it. Yeah,
so no, I did that just like kind of like whatever, and then it was just kind of fun, but it took forever to make it sound that way with the band, because I think everybody was just like, people who walked in that situation, that's a whole different can of worms. We're just like, what the fuck? But that's like how they felt about everything, I think. But yeah, so that's how it started, and then I was like, and then I didn't do anything for a little while, and then I was like, that was fun, maybe I'll do that again. So now, yes, I mean, I just used to go for funsies and to like play jazz gigs, because my boyfriend is from there. But then after that, I was getting more offers, and also the Germans love big band. Like, it's just a funny coincidence that my boyfriend happens to be from there, but like they're really, really into it. They like worship Maria Schneider like very seriously. So now I kind of have like, I feel like I have more of an audience out there than I do here, because they love new big band stuff.
We'll talk about the difference between like the German. I mean, your boyfriend Martin Seiler,
yes,
is a stupendous saxophone player.
He's okay.
Nice. And so there's that. So you kind of, when you were going over there, you kind of knew sort of what to expect, I would imagine.
They care.
They care. Oh,
they care. Yeah. I don't know. They're just excited about music. I think maybe I don't want this to sound bad, but maybe they're just excited about Western music, like, just coming over and like this is the new thing, like it's coming from New York, and even if it's, it's like there's a lot of shitty stuff in New York too, but I guess if it makes its way over there, it's usually pretty okay. So they, just like any show you play, everyone's really engaged. Like they want to know about it. They want to know what's happening. I think everybody still looks to New York as sort of being like the epicenter of just like what is going on, what's good, like in the world, what's good. So whenever I play out there, like pretty much no matter what it is, like I think people just are more excited. I've also played like lots of just like random standard gigs out there, but people are always listening, and I kind of feel like here I definitely I'm starting to really experience that. Like I do have somewhat of a following with the New York Chillharmonic, and people come out and they're excited about the music, but of course it's not always been that way. Like if I play rock gigs with whatever band, like people are just loud. But I guess there's a situation for everything. Everything, it's gonna be different depending on what you're doing.
Yeah, this was probably 10 years ago at this point, but I read an interview with Bob Brookmeyer, who's valve trombone player who had this band in Germany, and
they love him. Yes.
Yeah, right. So like he left the U.S. and like just created this big band in Germany and just stayed there. Yeah. And this interview, he's just absolutely trashing like the New York jazz scene, like talking shit about Lincoln Center, talking shit about like different big bands, and saying that, oh, my big band is like the best thing happening right now, but one of the things, you can say whatever you want about like the different ensembles he's trashing, but one thing he did say was that he had more space to make good art. He had more space there than he had in New York or LA or wherever, wherever he was playing in. I think American audiences, you kind of get, they kind of are like, oh, well, we've seen it all, and
A little bit.
there's not. What are you gonna do? Surprise me? I don't really give a shit, but I'm here because it looks good for me to be at a jazz club.
Definitely. Oh, I can talk about that all day. Yeah, no, okay. Oh, so many things were just said. Yeah, no, I definitely fantasize about moving out there a lot sometimes. I'm just basically just like leaving, period, forever. Because I hate New York probably like 60% of the time that I'm here. That was generous. Yeah, and out there, obviously, would probably be pretty easy for me to just like pick up and do the same thing. I don't know like how much more successful I'd be. I don't know if I'd be making money. I'd be coming at it as someone who's. It's like the older I get, the harder it gets because my peers are getting older and they're becoming more successful as well. And I know that there's going to be a timestamp on this if I don't reach a certain level of success, which might be a really like twisted and sad way to look at it, but it's also realistic, I think. Just because, I'm playing with people here who are sought after players and are, do play really well playing gigs. And if they don't, then that's fine also. You don't need to be like a rock star to be in my band for the most part. I don't write very complicated music. But I think if I were out there, I'd sort of be facing the same problems. I think it would be just like much more, it would be easier to find places to rehearse that don't cost me an arm and a leg, and it would be easier to find venues that can accommodate us for sure, just because there's literally more space. But other than that, I don't know if it would be, I'm not famous, I'm not like successful enough and I can't pay these people. So I don't know like how much better it would really be. My rent would be cheaper. But everything is relative, so maybe I'd be making less money. I have no idea. But here, I don't know. New York is really difficult. I don't think it's anything.
Yeah, that's not anything new. But...
That's not anything new to say. Yeah, and I kind of feel like it's getting worse, and I'm sort of hoping for like some mass exodus, like in the not too distant future, where we all just like everyone's like, oh, this sucks. Like it's time to leave. I don't know if that's ever gonna happen. We're kind of just like holding on to like this past that we weren't a part of, which is sort of sad.
So let's your main group is the New York Chillharmonic, which that name
also started as a joke, and now it's just here to
Yeah,
stay.
it sounds like the name was a joke.
It was a joke by Martin. He was like, "This is what you should call it." And I was like, "No," and now here it is. So fuck it.
Well, now you branded it as the New York Chillharmonic.
I can't escape. Whatever.
Our mutual friend Nathan Wood.
Yes.
The first time probably that he brought up this when we were talking back and forth, and I that was my reaction. I was like, wait, that's actually the name. Tell her that she has to change the name, but. It's
I don't know what the fuck else I would call it.
Right, and like at this point, it's like it's
Sara
moved past the
McDonald's
joke.
Big band.
Yeah, no, like it's cheesy, but it's kind of once you get used to it, it's kind of cool in a cheesy way.
It sort of makes sense. For, like what the music is. Like it's goofy, but it's also sort of like respected in a way at this point.
Yeah,
I don't know.
And then like it kind of fits your personality.
I'm just like fucking all over the place. Yeah.
Nope, not what I was gonna say, but sure.
Okay.
So like, how did you go about setting that up? I mean, that's what 22, 23 people.
I just prayed a lot. No, I have no idea. Like it was such a shit show in the beginning. I was so scared of it. Like mostly just because first of all, I had no idea what the fuck I was doing. I had a lot of really weird music that like just didn't make a lot of sense. I think I kind of just like. I was encouraged because I won the Herb Alpert Young Jazz Composer Award, and I was like, "That's right, I'm a composer. I'm special."
What did you write for that?
I don't know, some song. It's online. It's called.
You like shitting on your own stuff. It's weird.
I hate everything that I do. I go home and I cry about myself every night. I wrote this song called Sandcastles that's kind of jazz. There's a piano solo in it, so I guess they liked it. Okay, so I wrote that song. That was part of it. That was on the old big band record thing. And so then it's like, I won this thing and I kind of felt like I'd been validated to some extent.
And so now I can do this other thing.
Right. So I was like, okay, maybe I can try to do this. Like I was like, I need to have, what did I tell myself? I was like, have like 8 songs ready to go. And I did, and most of them were terrible. And Aubergine was one of them. And I also took like old like rock band tunes that wound up on the record. just tried to play it, but it was really hard because I had just spent 3 months in Germany and came back and just like was not on the scene at all anymore, had like given up on this old project and had been away for so long and just kind of was like not in the best place. And wanted to come back and do this and just didn't know enough people, to be honest. Like I didn't know enough horn players and stuff like that. I had already graduated, like I didn't really know what everybody else was up to. I had like a rhythm section together and there was no reference point, like I can kind of play songs that I like for them, but that doesn't really tell you anything about the music, and if you ever see one of my charts, most of it's just like, don't fuck this up. Just like, or like play something sort of like this. That's mostly just like piano things. I'm like, here's the triad, make it better. But, just not a shit ton of direction. It's just like a lot of like fortissimo, like crescendoing into more of that. Yeah, so the first rehearsal was horrible. The first gig was even worse. Even though I like really appreciate all those people that gave me their time, and a lot of those people still play in the band after a year and a half of doing whatever it is that we're doing, and I was just like scared of the music because I'd like never led a big band by myself like for a gig before, and I was like too focused on everything that was going on around me and just like felt like I needed to conduct, which I can't do, so I just like looked like an asshole and was just singing horribly because I was nervous and trying to just get all the charts together, and like have enough money to just print these charts, just stupid shit, and just trying to organize players, and like I basically just didn't know enough trombone players. I think that was the scariest part. Now I know too many trombone players. It's actually a problem. I need to like defriend some of I'm joking. Sorry, like I'm like you right now. They're just like they infiltrate my life. And so finally got some people together, and then like just the rehearsal was like people coming in and out because it was like all day, and I was like trying to use the new school, and it was they were like on to me because I graduated. They were like, you need to like leave. And then the gig, I was just like nervous the whole time because I just wasn't comfortable with the music, like wasn't comfortable with the sound, just didn't really know how to direct people and be like, this is what it needs to sound like, and like this is how we can make it sound this way, because I didn't know. And it just took, God, it was like 3, I think by like the 4th gig, it was like finally starting to settle into what it is now. And
what is it now?
Probably just like a progressive rock big band. Very much so, but it's just so much like the difference between the first gig to when we play shows now is just like 2 totally different bands. Now if I say so myself, it's a well-oiled machine. But the beginning was definitely terrifying, and just like also having like not really feeling solidified with my rhythm section, and now I used to say that never changes, I make gigs based on their availability, and the horn players, usually there's never a problem, but sometimes, people be in and out, and I always understand that, like if they have paying gigs, they should definitely go take those. It's fine, I'll pay them whatever we make at the end of the night, which is like $5 a person, if we're lucky. And Jesus, I'm losing my train of thought. But, now we've got it's just so much more, like we can do so much more with it because everybody's comfortable with it. Even going into recording, there were some things that I think like people weren't ready for, like we weren't like ready with sounds because we use like a lot of synthesizers and like pedals and effects and stuff like that. And now it's just totally different. If I say one thing, like everybody knows what I mean, and if they see a chart, they know how to approach it. Like it needs to sound this way, which is like sort of shocking that it reached that point in, just a little over a year, but the beginning was horrifying, and it was obvious that it was horrifying to me, just like me on stage just looking like I'm about to pass out from stress, to now, which is just I don't conduct because it's not necessary, and I can definitely like
let your rhythm section
I can just like let my rhythm section like be a rhythm section.
Yeah. Oh, crazy.
Yeah. And I can actually like sing. So yeah, I guess that hopefully that answers whatever question you asked like 20 minutes ago.
So now you feel comfortable.
Yeah.
When you get up there and everyone knows, you're just like, oh yeah, this is my band.
Yep.
And you don't have to worry about. I mean, obviously, there's still 100 things to worry about, but
yeah, but something always goes wrong, but it's always fine.
That's life. That's not just your band.
Yeah. No, I know.
So let's talk about the new record.
Okay.
If you want.
Sure, let's talk about it.
Okay, yeah, let's talk about it.
It's part of the point, isn't it?
Yeah.
So when are you planning on releasing that?
Hopefully in November. I've been talking to a couple different venues. It's funny, I have like stuff booked for every month except for November because I really want to book an album release, and that's been like the hardest thing to take care of, obviously.
Well, and then of course you have to find a place that's big enough, and like that's you know, and for an album releasing, you want it to be special, and
I want it to be special. I want to wear a cute outfit. Yeah. It will hopefully come out then. There are a few songs that aren't mastered yet, but we're taking care of that pretty soon here. And Keen is making the album art. Yeah. He's already made some of it. I actually had 3 songs mastered before I went to Germany to play this festival, just to like sell stuff and like get my name out there. So he did all the artwork for that, which was really nice. And
what's it gonna be called? I
have no idea.
Nice. That's a great title.
Yeah, just like I don't know, YOLO. I don't know. Just like me on the front. No, somebody said. Who said this to me? My friend's boyfriend was like, "It should be called Get Chill or Die Trying," and I was like, "No, absolutely not."
I've already got the name of the band. That's enough chill for one album
exactly.
cover.
I was like, this can't be like. It's just gonna be kind of like a gimmick.
What's the kind of the overall, like, how long is it? Are we talking like 12, 13 tracks?
It's 7 songs, but it's like 45 minutes long.
Okay, it's more of it's not your typical like 4-minute tracks that you would go on like a kind of a
pop record or something.
Pop rock, yeah, exactly. Pop rock record. You have more space to use. So when you're in your songs, there's more space to kind of explore different ideas.
Kind of, there isn't really any improvisation. It's all.
Well, explore them like with your arrangements and.
Totally, yeah.
It's not like, so much the improvisation stuff, just like through writing.
Yeah, it's not just like typical psalm form. Something like that. Maybe 1 or 2 of them kind of is almost like AABA, but not really. But most of them are just long. Like if I just have an idea and I really like it, I just get stuck on it forever. Like the song I sent you, there's like a section of just like the same like 2-bar phrase looping over and over and over again. Well, like I just like broke beer bottles and sang obviously, but like there are beer bottles being broken in the recording.
What kind of like broad artistic concepts like are you like attacking with this?
Broad artistic concepts.
Yeah, it's really high-minded.
Yeah.
Let me crack open this $80 bottle of wine and let's talk about artistic concepts.
My artistic concepts. Whatever sounds good.
Yeah, I mean that's completely valid though.
Yeah. Like I don't really. Some people get really into that methody stuff. I don't know. And I don't want to talk trash about anybody, but I did the BMI Jazz Composers Workshop. Probably won't be going back, but and they're all great, but that's how they approach big band. And I kind of just like didn't fit in at all. I didn't make any friends. Yeah, so like there were, people would do stuff like, I wrote this entire arrangement based on the whole tone scale. And I'm like, why?
Yeah.
And it's cool. And they'd be like, yeah, like you had some really good, like some voicings here. I'm like, yeah, well, like, it's like, but it sounds horrible. It's like, it's so great that you put the flat 6, like, an octave away from like the regular 6. It's like, I don't, what?
What did you say to me?
I don't, that's not real. Somebody's going to listen to that and cringe and be like, this girl has no idea what she's talking about. And I don't. You're right. I don't have any idea. Yeah, so just like stuff like that. And sometimes there'd be some nice things, like not to be a dick, but like some of the girls brought in some nice stuff. And there weren't a lot of girls, but they would bring in like songs. I'd be like, this is pretty, with some good arranging. And I guess some of the guys, they were like, guitar players always write like pretty things. I'm totally just like putting everybody into a box right now. And I think I was the only vocalist there, like period. So, the stuff I brought in was just like, this is a song I wrote for myself. So it's like me just writing songs for myself, but then arranging it for a big band. So it's like, very like self-indulgent, stuff like that.
You have to be a little self-indulgent just to like put together your own ensemble like that. Like you have to be a little narcissistic. I mean, otherwise
massively. So yeah. No. Okay. Sorry.
So your album. You just wrote things
broad
like
artistic concepts.
Broad artistic concepts, obviously. So were you happy with what you came up with? Like,
fuck yeah.
Yeah. You over the last 45 minutes, you've been kind of like trash talking your previous things, but this is something you're really happy about. Yes,
okay, for the most part. Totally. There's like one song on there where I'm just like, I want to kill this song. I'll never play it again. And I'm serious. But For the rest of it, yeah. I mean, I met this producer last summer. This time, no, I met him in August last year. Jesus Christ. And he was just, I just wanted someone to mix the album. Like, I had no idea how I was going to record it. I was just like, I have some money and I'm going to, like, go to a studio and, like, record this Big Band album. Yay. And I met up with him and he was like, whatever, he knows that I feel this way about him, so it's okay. But, like, he was, like, kind of just, like, anal. Like, we met up for, like, a drink and he was like, okay, well, like, this is what you should be doing, and, like, you really need a producer for this, and, like, this is, you know, how you should record these things, and, like, have you thought about how you're going to do this? Like, what if you recorded it this way? What if you recorded it this way? And I was just like, I don't know. I just really want to record an album because I wrote some songs. And he just, like, terrified me. And he said that he went home and, like, talked to his girlfriend. He was like, I think I scared the shit out of that girl. And he did. And I went home and I was like, fuck, I'm doing this all wrong. And I was like, shit, I shouldn't even, like, be recording. I'm going to ruin everything. But then we sat down and talked, and I was like, so I just got my shit together and called and was just like, okay, so, like, I want to talk about this more. That'd be cool. So we went to a studio and, like, he just has, like, his whole process. Like, we listened to songs and everything and talked about what we wanted it to sound like and found a really good place to record that doesn't exist anymore. Well, it exists upstate, but it was called Excello Studios. And it was, like, a huge, beautiful, like, I guess they used to store trolleys there or something. That could be totally wrong. It's big though. It was. Now I'm sure it's like luxury real estate. That happened. So we just talked about it forever and finally set a date. So we started like talking about recording it from August until like October, and then finally we were like, let's get our shit together. And so we recorded on December 1st, and then we recorded. So we recorded. The way we did it was insane, just because I knew I wanted it to sound really produced. I knew I wanted like a lot of stuff to happen, and I still wanted it to be like kind of like indie rock. But also it is big band, technically speaking. So there was just so much that went into this. Like, we finished recording in June, probably, and we started in December. So what we did is we mixed down, he mixed down all of the MIDI tracks, like each one at a time. So it was just like process of elimination. So we went in, so I recorded like scratch vocals. So we get in, and so like the rhythm section had like MIDI tracks of the horns and vocals in their headphones, and they recorded all their parts. And the next day the horns came in and recorded to MIDI tracks recorded to what the rhythm section had recorded. And then after that we had strings come in and record to everything else. And then I did vocals for however long. And I'm like, I don't really give a shit about, I'm like, I sound like shit, it's over. And then he was like, no, we have to nail this take, you know, just like in Hollywood, like threw water in my face. And then I just like, and then I like ran up a flight of stairs, and then I recorded more vocals. And they sounded perfect. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, so that's how we did it. And then we just did other stuff. And like he, you know, like had lots of people come in and record, just overdub anything you can think of, to be honest. There's a talking section where Martin's just speaking in German really quietly, and like the beer bottles being broken, and just like he, you know, he was like really invested in this project, and I will use him forever, this guy Ariel Shafir. And he went online and just like bought like weird tape machines and like recordings of weird stuff, like people from the, you know, whenever recordings started and like in the 20, like weird science things, like people talking about like medicine and like all these like weird health reports, and then like record it backwards and stuff, and just like weird shit, and buying old tape machines to record weird washy vocals on and all this stuff, and just spending a ton of time making this be very special. And it is. There's some really cool shit on there, just like how it sounds. It sounds so much better than I would have ever expected it to be honest. Just from, you know, where we started from. And there are also like lots of things that we would do differently, and that we will do differently because we want to record again in the spring, hopefully. You know, like things get missed, which is too bad, or like horns get buried or whatever. And it's like there's a lot going on. There's like a track with, are you falling asleep? Am I that boring? Okay.
Definitely bored.
So bored. I mean, there's like a track with like a full choir plus like the whole band, and it's just like so much shit. Anyway, so yes, it sounds good. I'm happy with it. I'm ready to like release it to the world. I'd like to find a nice jazzy label for it or something, but I don't really think anybody like knows what to do with it. I think most people just don't really like know where to place this.
So, album November, no name. You should work on that.
I have some ideas, but every time I tell people them, they're like, "That's weird." I'm like, "Okay."
Well, I mean, like from what you're saying, it's kind of a weird album. Like,
it's super weird.
Yeah, like you're doing like experimental shit. You're doing it with a large ensemble that people don't usually, with not only a large big band, but a non-standard big band, which is really cool. Actually, while I'm saying that, why, because you have strings, you have a full brass section, you have some saxophones,
yes,
and then your rhythm section. So what made you like decide on that combination? Did you experiment with some shit? I mean, you mentioned like being like, oh, oboe and tuba, and
you were listening. That's good. Well, yes, because I had written for a big band, and I knew I wanted. I think basically, man, if I could have it anyway, I would just like have a full orchestra like at my disposal all the time, like all the stuff the Metropole does with different pop artists that come in. I was just listening to like the Lauren Vula the other day. I was like, fuck, like it's like why can't that just be like my band that I tour with,
Like I mean, like it's a really cool.
It just sounds so fucking good.
Right, I mean, Death Cab did with NY Chillharmonic, and that was incredible.
Yeah,
like Devotchka and Airborne Toxicant played with Colorado Symphony, and that was like
man, I haven't heard about that band in so long, but yes.
Which one, Devotchka?
Airborne Toxic Event. Well, you read the book where the name came from, right?
I have not read White Noise, mostly because I don't have 4 years to read a Don DeLillo book.
Jesus, it was a good book, man.
I know.
Okay.
It's
How do you know? You didn't read it.
It's in my iBooks. Okay, it's waiting for me. So, but yeah, so like that's a really cool sound that bands usually will come in and play with an orchestra, but you're kind of being like, well, let's recreate that on a smaller scale, so I can get the sound I want, but not
right. I mean,
pay $10,000 to play with an orchestra.
Right. I think the best way to think about it sort of is I don't really write like maybe for the trumpet sometimes there are some like typical like horn lines sort of, and I'm just starting to like get into that more. But it's sort of like using each section as like, think about it like different synthesizers, just like layering parts. Things that you would hear like computer making are being made by, real musicians in real time. And when it came to choosing that, it was sort of like, just to be honest, like, knowing, like I went to jazz school, so I know people who, I mean, I didn't know too many, but it's sort of like, that's what I was comfortable with. Like, it's like, I know horn players or whatever, and that makes the most sense. Like, that's sort of what I had at my disposal. Not really, but I wouldn't know how to reach out and contact, like, a bunch of French horn players. Stuff like that. Like, that's just, it made the most sense in my mind. And then, as far as string players are concerned, like, I just think that strings are really pretty. When it comes to pop music, and even jazz music, like, so many... like beautiful big band arrangements, there are always strings.
There are always strings.
Yeah, and just like with pop music, there are lots of strings and stuff, and to me, it's sort of, that made the most sense. I'm not gonna, oboe does not make sense. I'm sorry. The aspiring oboe players that want to be in my band. Like, it's just like, it's not gonna happen. It's just never gonna happen. Double reed is too hard. But, so like, to me, that was what made the most sense, I guess. And especially when I hear like pop bands, I always like that extra layer. I think it's really nice. I know you could do like MIDI string sounds, but those always sound like just like dying cats, like being like raked across, like whatever. I don't want fakey sounds. I want real sounds by real instruments.
So do you always perform with the full ensemble, or do you have like a reduced version that you sometimes do stuff with?
It's always. There was one time we got asked for the North Side Festival at like a smaller venue, and I had just so happened to have taken a couple of them and reduced them to like a nonette, 9 people. Yeah, so I had, because I went and played the Morse Festival, and then I went to Amsterdam to visit a friend, and she has a band that was 8 people, but then I would be there singing, so I was like, oh, I'll just arrange some stuff to play with you guys. And then I came back and we got asked to this festival, and I was like, oh, that's funny, I can reduce it to 9 people. And they were like, that's huge. And I was like, no, it's not. So we did that, but I don't think that's ever really going to happen again. It sounds fine. It's just like, it makes me sad because not everybody is there, and I would like everybody to be there because it's just more special that way. As much as I hate to say it, like it's not just about like the music. It's like everything involved, like just like aesthetically pleasing and just like how everything is working and like the band playing together like that.
It's cool because I mean it's cool to have 22 people, 23 people who freelancers don't like doing free gigs.
Yeah.
And if you do a free gig, you have to believe in what you're doing, or like there has to be a reason to do it. And so like you've had success, even though you can't pay that much. Mm-hmm. You've had success cultivating this group of people who come back and play for you.
Yeah.
You're obviously doing something right because these people want to come back and play with you. So that's gotta feel good. I mean,
No, it does. It's sort of, I'm always surprised. I'm like, holy shit, everybody showed up.
I mean, do you think about that and like trying to foster a situation where people can like, you know, there's flexibility and you can, but really in an enjoyable time, you know, like when you're writing arrangements, like not writing shitty stuff.
Oh, definitely.
You know, you worry about that.
Sometimes I think I have started to, like, somebody complained. They were just like, they're just like, oh, like the sax part, it's just long tones, and I'm like, yeah, because I hate the saxophone. Yeah, I was always like, I was also treating a lot of instruments just like they're just playing pads, and that still happens because if I just want something to be fuller, then like that's what it's gonna be.
And that's fine. You know, like sure you can write cool stuff, but like, or you can write pads, but like pads played by live instruments are always going to sound better.
Yeah,
like 100%, 10 times out of 10, even if it's only long tones.
Yeah, exactly.
There's nothing wrong with that.
No, definitely not. And everybody has to play pads at some point. But I think also just becoming a better writer and just sort of like becoming more informed about like what instruments can do. Because in the beginning, I think I wrote a lot of just like silly stuff and like lots of probably voicings that weren't great, like really crunchy. Like, why does this voice sound out of tune? It's like because you should not stack a chord that way. You know, stuff like that. And there are still times where I go out of my way to make things sound crunchy, but it's just like teaching myself, like trial by error, you know, just figuring things out as I go along, what works, what doesn't work, you know, throwing stuff at the wall, seeing what sticks. Definitely now, sometimes it's, you know, if I look at a chart and I'm like, oh, the poor trombones are not really doing it. They're just playing like on 2 and 4 for like 80 measures. Maybe I should write them something nice. And then they all get like high G's. No, I'm just kidding. But that does happen sometimes. But I'll go out of my way to like have everybody have their moment. And I like that. It's, you know, there are cool trumpet sections, and then I don't do like the typical big band thing where it's all about like making textures and like hearing this instrument play with this instrument. You know, Maria Shiner is really good about that, creating like sonic landscapes, you know, and it's just like, oh, here's this flute with like this trumpet with its, you know, harmon mute, and like, oh my god, does that make you think of like a foggy like river? and just like, nah, sure, but I don't think about that. I'm like, I basically group section by section, which is just, it's just like, you know, me. You can imagine just me doing whatever I feel like doing, just like me with like a box of crayons, just like, it's kind of what the process is like, but with wine. So
okay, well, you've recorded everything, you're mastering it. Are you like, what are you looking towards next?
Just like endless fame and fortune.
Well, I mean, just like all of us.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, come on. I started a podcast. I should be famous by, like, December.
Yeah, totally. Tomorrow. I would like to find a good label for it. I'm really bad at that kind of stuff. Like, any, like, write-up or whatever that I've gotten, like, usually it's, like, somebody comes and asks me. Like, I'm not really good about, like, harassing blogs. I kind of just don't give a shit. But now it's sort of, that's becoming the norm. Like, you really got to do that to get your stuff out there. And if you can get it on a popular streaming site, blah, 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 then good for you. And people listen to it and like comment.
What have you been able to push it on so far?
I mean, I released Aubergine on Revive because I had a friend that wrote there, and that was nice. And, you know, just other write-ups and stuff. And, I mean, I've been, like, you know, just, like, had interviews on, like, bigger sites and stuff like that, or even Arte, which is, like, the biggest, like, TV network, like, in Europe or stuff like that. So, you know, people know what's going on, and we've managed to, like, be moderately successful without too much, like, you know, too many bells and whistles, if that makes any sense. Just sort of like, just from like playing gigs,
right?
Like good old fashioned, like play a show and like then people like you.
I mean, are you writing every day still and like looking towards the next thing that you're gonna make, or you just right now you're kind of focusing on promoting this one thing?
A little bit of both. I think in the beginning I was really concerned with just like writing all the time because I didn't have a lot going on, and now it's sort of like every day I've just got like tons of things going on, you know, and not all of them are for me. Like I do also like enjoy being a sideman to a certain extent, which doesn't happen as well. No, I guess it happens as much as it can happen. You know, I'm involved in different projects and stuff like that, projects that I really like. And now I think in the beginning I would write a lot of stuff and then throw it away. And now I really focus on just making everything be really like as good as it can be. Like, the most recent things, I think the last big band thing I wrote was in July, and I spend a lot of time on that. I used to not spend a lot of time doing stuff. Like some sections would just be like whatever pads. Like I wouldn't really think about like how, what can this be? And I take so much time trying to make everything be as just like detail oriented as possible. And now every song and like every arrangement is like special, and I want to continue doing it that way. And I have almost a full record ready to go, but I'll probably write more in the meantime, special things, make them special. Yeah, just to care more. Like sometimes I'll want to stop, like I'll be in the middle of arranging and, I'm just like, oh fuck, like I'm so tired of this. I just want to be over it. I need to go buy more wine. And then, and then I'm just like, no, I'll listen back to it, and then I'm like, it's okay, whatever. And then I'm just like, I have to stop myself and just like, no, I'm fucking like, you're better than this. You have to at least try to write something better.
Yeah.
If you don't like this, then don't just leave it. Whereas I feel like I used to do that probably a lot more than I would care to admit. Just like, it's fine, whatever.
It's difficult to take something you're not super happy about and like work it to something you are happy about, but
that's the worst.
But there's there's something, even in the shit, there's usually something good in there.
Yeah, you just have to keep looking for it.
Yeah, I mean, like trying to pull that out. Not even if it doesn't end up being something that you use all the time, just the process of pulling it into something you can be proud of is
right. Yeah, or there's no shame. Like even if I spend a lot of time on a section and then I'm like, this sucks. I'm just like, at some point just realizing like, okay, it's not good enough, like try again, and then just like deleting everything.
Yeah.
Finale, which I do sometimes, which is like, it's frustrating because you'll spend hours on something and then just be like, okay, this isn't what I want it to sound like, and like this idea is not working. I'm gonna go do something else, or even just taking time away from it. Like I like to sit down and finish things if I can, which I don't really have time to do anymore. But also, I've like found a lot of success in writing something and then taking time away from it, and just like, it's like maybe I used all my good ideas for this period of time. Maybe I just need to like admit that and like okay, like everything that's coming out right now isn't very good. Like I can do better. I need to just like take a minute and refresh, and then come back like 2 or 3 days later and sit down and then surprise myself with what comes out. And if not, then whatever, take more time. But at least the end result will be the best that it can be versus just like what it can be.
Right. This is kind of the last thing I wanted to ask you about. Is like when you're in the process of writing, do you seclude yourself and like to kind of find inspiration, or is it just kind of a more, this is what I feel today, and then come back to it? Or do you like just be like, I'm going to sit down and do this?
It's kind of all over the place, if I'm going to be honest. I think it's usually just, stuff will just like hit me at the, whenever it feels like it. It's mostly like, I'll just, to be totally honest, it's just like, I'll hear lines a lot of whatever. And it's usually like pretty obvious to me, like if that's going to be like a synth line, or like if it's going to be strings, or if it's going to be like a melody, something like that. And it usually happens just like when I'm just like out and about, I'll just be hearing something, I'm like, oh, what is that? Like, and then I'll be like just kind of like going through like my archives in my brain, of like songs I've listened to, and then I'm like, oh no, like that's me, trying to get in touch with myself. And I think like most of it I just hear stuff, just like whatever, whenever, like in a cab, walking on the street, or like sometimes it wakes me up in the middle of the night. That's usually the most common. It's very strange. Like I'll just be hearing something in my head over and over again, and I'll wake up, and even if I'm really tired, I'm just like, bitch, get up and like go. Like I have to like, it's like go to the bathroom and record this, because you're gonna be so pissed when you wake up tomorrow and you don't remember it anymore. Right. And that's
because you'll remember hearing it, but you won't remember
what it is.
What it was.
Yeah, and it's the most freaking annoying thing. So I'll just be laying in bed like so tired, just like, oh god, like make myself get up, go to the bathroom, because then I don't have to be too loud because there's like good acoustics.
Artistic genius, just come back in the morning.
I wish I could, like, sometimes I've tried to just, like, roll over, because I live with my boyfriend now, trying to, like, roll over in bed and record, and then, like, Martin's, like, moving around and shit. I'm like, this is stupid. Like, I'm just like, fuck, I'm so tired. So I'll just, like, drag my ass to the bathroom and just, like, record it until, like, I'll just, like, loop it and sing it and see if, like, anything else comes from it forever. So there's, like, thousands of those in my phone. If anybody ever found my phone, they'd be like, this is really crazy. And then, you know, the next day I'm just like, okay, like let me listen back and see what that was. And sometimes it's really cool. Sometimes it's just like me being like tired as fuck and being like, this is so amazing. Like I have to do this. And then it's stupid. But mostly it's amazing. And then I'm like, okay, well, what is? And then I have to like sit down at the piano and just like figure it out. And then that happens a lot. So I have a lot of that stuff, and then sometimes it's exciting. Like I'll forget that I recorded something, and then I'll go back and be like, oh, what's this? And then I'm like, fuck, that's cool. Like this is what I'm going to use now for this section, you know. And I just like go back and reference myself all the time. I've learned that like if I have to record things because I forget stuff almost as quickly as I hear it. So there's a lot of that going on, and like I try to write. I carry around like little things of staff paper, like all the time. I never know, you know. Like, or if lyrics come to me, that's usually the last part of it. But if I just like start thinking about something, I have to write it down. I'm just like, I think I'm kind of senile. I can't remember anything. Yeah, so that's how it is. It's hardly ever like if I just sat down and like played a bunch of chords that were nice, like nothing would ever come from that. You know, I think about music very like in a linear way. I can't really, if I think about like, oh, that's cool, but hardly ever I'm like, there's one song on the album where like I woke up hearing a very specific progression and that's like the start of the song. But that's rare. It's the only time that's ever
This whole thing just sounds exhausting.
I have to keep up with it all the time because it can very easily go away. Like I'm not like I'm not an idiot, you know. I know that I've got something like really nice going on, and the fact that people want to show up and play my music free of charge is rare, and these people are amazing musicians, and I'm always just like so grateful that they just give me their time. And everybody has a good time. I think like I'm not demanding so much. I'm not like, wear your suit and come and like, you know, we're going to play this really like elitist big band thing. It's like, I don't give a shit. Some girl showed up in like a crop top and she's like, is this cool? I was like, I don't give a fuck. Like, let's do this. You know, like I wore like gold lame at the last show. I don't care. Like it's, you know, it doesn't matter. It's about the fucking music. But I do care about the music. Like everything else, I think I always give off that vibe. Like I just don't give a shit, especially on stage. People are like, you have to work on that because everyone thinks you hate yourself, and I do. But I need to make it seem like
You don't.
I care because I do care. It's just some people are really good at selling it, and I think I give all of my fucks to the music. And when I'm writing, it's like that's everything. Like that's all I care about, and I want it to be perfect. And that's why I'm constantly just like keeping tabs on myself and like listening to what I'm thinking about because that's all that matters. And then I think it's really easy for me to just kind of like neglect the rest because to me it's just like, you know, whatever superfluous. Like I don't care. Yeah. So, but everything else is just it's about like the writing and you know always just like trying to do new things. And I kind of feel like I am doing something that's new. I don't hear a lot of progressive rock bands out there like working hard enough to play a gig once a month. It's hard. It's a lot of organizing for sure. At this point, I've kind of got it like down to a science. But in the beginning, it's just like, you know, anxiety attacks about like, oh my God, I have to call these people and like ask them to do this. And my charts aren't taped. You know, and just this constant state of panic. And now I'm just like, I just roll up and do it, unload my shit and give everybody their charts. And like everybody knows like everything's color coded because I will forget about it. You know, and get everybody to like pass their charts back to me at the end of the show. It's very like high school jazz band. But they were onto something. Like drop your charts in the box at the end of the gig. It's like that's good. If you don't do it, it's on you, man. Yeah, I'm not reprinting this.
Yeah. So where can people find you?
You can find me on Facebook. My name is Sara McDonald with no H. There's a picture of my face, and in the background there's a picture of me with my band. It's really cool. The NY Chillharmonic does have a Facebook page. I'm not been very good about keeping tabs on that. Mostly just because I think more people associate it with like just me, at least in my European audience. I'm so famous. God, I don't know what to do with myself. And my 700 likes, I'm killing it. I keep tabs on that, obviously. I'm like, ooh, 702. Yeah, so I've been pushing that page more just because more people over there just like know my name. They don't know that I actually have a band called the NY Chillharmonic. I'm sure they also think that's a joke. Yeah, so that's
Hey guys, not a joke. It's the real thing.
It's the real deal.
Like it and shit.
Yeah.
And when you post new stuff, where do you like songs and stuff? Do you have?
There's a song called the NY Chillharmonic SoundCloud.
Okay.
SoundCloud/that. There's one song up. Hopefully, I'll be releasing more soon. Just I think the other stuff that is singly needs to be mastered. So.
Okay. Cool. Twitter, Instagram.
I do have a Twitter. I don't use it. But I am really into Instagram because, like, you know, I like taking pictures of my really interesting life. That's just my name. Oh, it's Sara McDonald, MCDS.
Well, your music's great.
Thanks.
As much as whatever you say about it. I like it.
Cool.
A lot of people like it.
I hope so.
Yeah, so thanks for coming and talking to me, coming all the way up to the South Bronx.
It's cool. I don't get up here enough, so.
Calling wide, I tell you I'll rewind on my own time. Broken voice, I shout out loud to mask our great divide. Has her flower flown away? It's all they're asking, dipped below the brink of day. This moon is waxing, burn the leaves and scorch the wood. A forest waiting for reprieve, a natural sigh of light. We've all been saving, sky aglow. It's all I think I know. Without a line to cast, how can I last? Marry we a pair of vital seeds, forgot the ground was cast, and now we know it won't last. Dreams are bound, women and song and little bad guns around me. Weeping and so riddled, it's all around me. Cleaning and moping could I be?